I just tell people it was just being prepared in the opportunity, bro.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's not, ain't no secret shit. But I mean, that kind of leads us to today's convo. If you don't mind, I'm gonna kind of tee you up so you can kind of get in your bag and talk about what you do. But running a brand, it isn't really just about making dope clothes or understanding how people find you. It's more like why they buy and how you turn your attention into sales. And the difference between a brand that just drops and a brand that actually grows sometimes isn't the product. And it's the strategy, the marketing, the way everything moves together behind the scenes. This episode, we're going to dive deeper into that, building and scaling a brand. We're sitting down with Nick, or Biz by Nick, an entrepreneur who's building business around social media ads, lead generation, but also some of the newer, talk in the last 2 years is how we're using AI to kind of help build brand. And he's familiar with streetwear. You have a streetwear brand itself. So a lot of the people watching come from the same world, but AI and social ads is kind of that next step from streetwear, from pop-ups and Instagram, which is great. That's where I'm at. It's cool, right? Yeah. But then there is a time where that business takes the next step. So that's kind of what we're going to get into. But before, bro, intro yourself, or, maybe we could start early influences. What are you doing? I know you said you're a skater.
Yeah.
What are some early, when you're a kid, some early moments of nostalgia for you?
Okay, cool. Damn, yeah. I haven't had a breakdown from that far back in a while. So, I guess to start off, I'm Nicholas Trika. I am currently the owner of OGD Los Angeles, as well as Prosper Marketing and Biz by Nick, which is the AI and digital marketing aspect of things that we'll get into later. But initially starting out as a kid, skated, BMX, fixies, all that stuff. I was heavily into cars. My father's always been, we've had a shop since I was born. So always liked vehicles, but obviously didn't have like a license or nothing. So skateboards and bikes was like my thing. I was never really into sports like baseball, football, nothing like that. My dad was, we grew up on dirt bikes and shit. So that was like kind of the era of like Metal Militia and all that stuff.
So you were watching like X Games?
Oh, all the time.
Bro.
Yeah.
I don't know who I was talking to, but back then,
it was
like
gnarly,
Twitch.
Bro. No, yeah, bro. It was gnarly.
And even Dave Mira, BMX, X Games was on some other shit.
Bro, that was back when like regulations were like almost nothing. Like, you know what I mean? It was just dudes out there ripping. Like,
I remember Friday nights, bro, mom ordering pizza and like seeing Travis Pastrana do a double backflip and just Dave Mira
like
and Bob Burnquist.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, that's how I grew up. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really into like the sports side of things. I was like more like the extreme sports. So I think that's kind of like what molded me into like, because I growing up, bro, Stussy.
Yep.
Active. I wore a lot of active.
Yeah.
And other than that, bro, like I wasn't like too heavy into fashion. You know what I mean? I didn't have the coolest kicks. I didn't have like the newest shit. Wasn't into watches or nothing. Like
Vans?
Vans, Nikes, Puma.
Converse maybe?
All like the basic shit. Yeah, my dad was always in 501s and like shell toe Adidas. So I usually liked like shell toes. I'm still rocking fucking even now, bro. I'm
Cortez,
still rocking the same shit. But that's kind of like what developed like my fashion sense or whatever. And what's funny is like, swag, shuffling, all that came out. And that's when I started to like, because before that I was like black, white shirts, gray, like very minimalistic and stuff. But then once like you started wearing acid wash pants, half cabs, I love boobies bracelets and stuff like that. And I was able to be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna mix a green shirt with
snapbacks.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was out, and I was one of those people, bro, with the rat tail, snapback on the head, one down here. So like, that's when I was starting to like, all right, cool, I can wear certain pieces of clothing that aren't like what the normal trend is. You know what I mean? But it was cool at the time.
Yeah.
And then that spitballed into like fixies with arrow spokes. I had like
fixies were big at that time.
Bro, back then I was probably like in middle school. I had powder coated frames with like chrome wheels. I had like carbon arrow spokes and shit. So like I always had really nice shit. Like we didn't have a lot of money, but my dad took pride in like building all of our shit. So
plus
like,
you're a car dude, so
yeah,
so cars kind of translate to the bikes,
to everything, exactly.
And the
so
skateboards,
like, bro, back then I was just like didn't really care what I looked like, but I had all the cool shit. You know what I mean? I had all the new boards that came out. I had all the badass bikes and like stuff like that. And like,
and you're probably rocking skatewear, like
yeah,
skate brand, which is now cool, which is
now the trend. Yeah, which is funny. But back then, you know what I mean? Like, it was like I said, like active shirts, some Dickies, and some high tops. That was pretty much it, bro. I skated heavily in Nikes, like I used Lakai's a lot too. Etnies was cool back then.
Lakai's.
Yeah.
I had a pair of Lakai's.
Yeah, bro, those were fly, dude. Those were sick.
Forgot about
and those were like I remember I used to what's the other one? The flat silhouette Nike that had Janowski's.
Yeah,
so
Janowski's were big too. Yeah.
But yeah, like so I like had, you know, the cool pair of Janowski's that were, like blue and red and all that shit. But I never really like cared about fashion like that. And growing up, I think my pops was always like, he was always in his Harleys, like bikes, cars, and shit like that. And my dad always wore plain stuff, but my dad was from a motorcycle club, and it was called 5150 Crew, and their logo was like a star with the 5150 on the inside, and their slogan was "fucking shit up since '99." And that was always like just what I saw, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that was
stuck with you.
Yeah, and I was like, that shit's cool, you know what I mean? And being born in '99, especially back then, you know what I mean? I was like, that's the same age I was born. You know, I could be technically fucking shit up since '99. So like that kind of spitballed into having an idea of like the clothing space, but I never had money growing up to buy like all the fly shit that the kids had. Like, bro, we used to go to Tilly's and like 3 shirts was fucking $200. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, bro. So I started skating with my brother Renee. Shout out Renee. And he was always a little bit older than me. I believe he's like 31, 32 now. So he was like one of my bigger like influences, very good kid, very bright. And he was like, why don't we make our own skate team and make custom shirts, and that way you can rock them to school? And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. So back then it was Ebola. And we're like, what's the stupidest thing we could slap on a t-shirt? Like, Ebola skate team. Yeah. So, bro, we used to, and this is like, I'm talking about like peak. Everybody was talking about like mad cow disease, all this shit. I wore it to school, and the first day I wore it to school, because it looked like a legit shirt. It was screen printed and everything. It had like team writer, Nick, said my last name, said a number. Oh, shit. Had like Ebola skate team on the back, another number and shit like that. I think even had an address to a shop or some shit. And I wore it to school, and throughout the day, people were like talking about it or whatever, because they're like, Ebola, like, oh my God, I can't believe he has that on our shirt. And then it got to like, you know, the principal or whatever, and they like made me take my shirt off and maybe wear the loaner and shit. But that's when I realized, like, damn, one piece of clothing can really make like a bunch of people be like, what the fuck? Even like the shirt wasn't nothing crazy. It was a fucking regular, probably 5-ounce tee with the shittiest print I could probably get back then. And everybody in the school was like, either wanted it or just wanted to know about it. Yeah. And that was like, we probably spent $6 on those shirts a pop. You know what I mean? And I had people after school asking me like, yo, how'd you get on the skate team? And I'm like sitting there lying out of my ass. Well, I tried out, bro, sending my clips, did YouTube videos, all this crazy shit. And I had people like, oh, well, like, where do we sign up? Like, where could you? And I'm like, God. Damn. And back then, you know, I was too young to understand that there's like money to be made. Some shit. Yeah. So back then, I'm like, oh, you can't slim it. Only like 5 people are on the team. Like, you're not gonna get on. You know what I mean? Because it felt cooler to be like one of the only people than to fucking sell these T-shirts. Yeah. But that kind of gave me like my first, I guess you could say, foot in the door with like selling merch, I guess, or clothing. Yeah. And that's where I kind of got like the idea in the back of my head, because as I started getting a little bit older, this is in middle school, bro, let me remind you, like freshman year of high school, 8th grade, freshman year of high school. So as I started getting a little bit older, I started getting, you know, I was starting to see people step into like their own, like, all right, cool, I see the people with the baggy pants, the tight jeans, or whatever it may be. And my thing was like, bro, I almost never changed from like middle school to high school. I wore the same fucking 5 pairs of pants, blank shirts, and I wore skate shoes. I skated still all the way up until my senior year. And but then like as I started getting, you know, closer to senior, like sophomore junior year, I got my ears, you know, I had earrings and shit and this and that. And like granted, I had my ears pierced probably like in 8th grade, my first one. Then I got my second one in like 9th grade, and then I got my nose pierced in 9th grade, and then I got my double nose piercing in 9th grade. So as like a freshman, I had Justin Bieber hair and shit. And that was like my thing, like the fucking flick or whatever. I'm like, bro, I used that to my advantage. I was little as fuck, so like everybody knew me as Little Nick because I was the only fucking tiny little dude. And so like popularity kind of arose, I guess, from that. And I talked a lot of shit, bro. I used to be a shit talker. So the thing about me, bro, is like
starting beef and shit, like bro, in the area, like different high schools,
all that shit.
So what area did you grow up in? So what schools are
Santa Fe High is the one.
You went to Santa Fe High.
I graduated from
oh shit, bro. Yeah.
Graduated year.
You were there.
I was there until 2017.
He was there. He was in that bitch.
Well, we didn't walk across the damn thing or nothing, but we were there.
But I went to Pioneer High. So I went to
so Pioneer, Cal, Lucerna, all them. And bro, you know how everybody talks about Lucerna. So I fucking hate Lucerna. Yeah, bro. So and it was funny, it was because who I hung out with was all of the old cats. And like as a freshman, I was already kind of taken under like some of the seniors' wings. There's some big ass dudes, you know what I mean? So I was like talking all this shit, and I'm like, all right, come meet me at the football game. I'm with like 8 seniors, you know what I mean? I'm like that big, but there's a bunch of big ass dudes behind me. So A lot of people just knew me in the space. And then the other thing was I skated like at our school. We did have like a small, I guess, group of like skaters, but they were more like, not to talk shit on Santa Fe skaters, like y'all are cool now, but they were a little bit more on like the antisocial, like
just on some weirdo.
I was gonna
say some weirdo shit.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it like that.
Yeah, just doing their own shit.
Just doing their own shit.
Yeah,
like,
on some
didn't
other
talk
shit.
to nobody.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And like, it was weird because my year skaters weren't like the years previous. But I remember years previous, I'd see these motherfuckers jump in the back gate to go skate like on the street and shit.
You're like, damn,
and I'm like,
sick.
that's skateboarding. Like, that's sick. So like, as I became a little bit older and shit, I lived across the street, this is probably part of the reason why I didn't graduate. I just didn't go to school. I just stopped going to school because my brother had already graduated 2014. I came into high school at 2014. So this motherfucker was working a job where he was like, let's go skate all day. I'll call off. It's like, I'm there, bro. So for my senior year, I had like fucking 265 truancies because they counted each class as like a truancy.
Yeah.
So halfway through the year, I got yellow ticketed where they like sent the fucking school shit to my house. I was like, hey, your son's not going to graduate because he just hasn't been here. And mom's like, what the fuck are you talking about, blah, blah. And I'm like...
And they didn't know.
Nah.
Because you're just...
Nah, you know...
You lived across the street, I guess?
They didn't know, but it was like one of those things where like, my mom come home early as fuck, I'd be in the kitchen. She's like, why are you home from school? Oh, it's because this. And she like, you know what I mean? It was hard because like
she knew, but
she knew, but she didn't say anything, bro. It was most of the time it was just my mother at home. My mom's a sweet... my mom's crazy as fuck, but she's like 5'2". You know what I mean?
Small mom.
What she gonna do, bro? Like, you know what I mean? She was sitting there and like... It was at the age where I was already like kind of in and out of the house.
Doing your own thing.
Doing my own thing, so... She told me, she's like, you know, papi, like, if you don't go to college, you're not. I was like, bruh.
I'm not even in high school.
I'm not even, yeah, I was like, I'm not even making it out of high school. So, funny enough, that, like, transitioned over to my senior year. I ended up getting kicked out. I got yellow ticketed. And my mom, like, I could see it really affected my mom. Because, like, I guess she's from Linwood originally. So, when my parents split, when I was a youngster, we were halfway in between. So, I would be at Santa Fe Springs a week. I'd be in Linwood for a week. And, like, her biggest thing was... She fucking moved out the ghetto to give her family a better opportunity, and now we're back to square one.
You're fucking around.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it got to the point where, like, bro, my mom has a master's or a bachelor's in psychology. Like, she did her school shit. My dad never went to school. And, like, I grew up with, like, knowing that school is probably the right direction, but my dad never had a job. Like, almost never had a job. Always owned a shop. So I'm like, fuck. You know, as a kid, I looked up to my father because he did what he liked to do, which was cars.
Yeah.
But as I'm older, I realized, like, we never really had money. You know what I mean? Bills were paid and, like, paid late and shit. We had, like, food on the table. But we never had, like, enough money to go on vacations or do the house or anything because my dad did what he loved, which just paid the bills. You know what I mean? And my mom's busted her ass. So usually my mom was, like, the one that was helping out. But, you know, my senior year, I realized, like, that really affected my mom. So I went back and tried to get all my shit straight with school, but it was already kind of like too far. I graduated with like a 1.2, so it's not even like a graduation shit. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, you're fucked. So I tested into Long Beach City, and contrary to everything I'm saying, I was a very bright kid. I was taking like
You just weren't there.
I just wasn't there. Yeah, I just never showed up. And the thing is like, I was one of those kids where it's like Pops was working all day. My mom's was out the house by 6:30. She wouldn't come home till 5. My grandma's fucking 90 years old. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, I was the oldest of all 4. So I was like, fuck it. My sisters are in school. My little brother's in school. I'm for sure good until 3:30, 4 o'clock. Then I'll come home. You know what I mean? So it was like, I think I was still part of like that, I guess you could say that gap in like in the generation where it was like, I was still kicking with the older heads. You know what I mean? And they were like, fuck that. Don't go to school. And I'm like, yeah, this is fucking gangster. So yeah, I went down that path. And then I realized it affected my mother a little bit because I think she was just more worried. That we're kind of following down the same path, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to college just to show you like what I can do. So I went to LBCC. I dropped out in like 6 weeks. I went. I did.
You're in there though.
Yeah, I went, bro. I tested pretty high. They put me in fucking business finance and shit. Cause I wanted to go for business management in general.
So you kind of, even back then, you kind of knew you wanted eventually what you're doing now.
100%.
Something like that.
So. Everybody I grew up with, and not to say this in a bad way or nothing, but like I never had anybody successful around me. Like nobody with a business, nobody like that. 9-to-5s, but made good money. You know, had fucking whatever, you know, PTO and healthcare and all that shit. But I didn't have no like baller homies, or I didn't have any like family members. I have 2 family members in my family that really did well for themselves. I mean, my whole family did, but my 2 uncles, my uncle Eric and my uncle Tonio, both became linemen for Edison. And this is way back. They started off at meter reading, then climbed their way up. So they were the first people to show me like, you could bust ass and still make $500,000 a year. You know what I mean? I thought in my head, I'm still thinking like, damn, make $500,000, you got to be owning a business or something. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize OT, you know, $60 an hour, $70 an hour, you can make that. So I was like right off the rip, like, well, for sure I don't want to do that work. Like, you know what I mean? They were working 3 days on.
60
yeah,
hours,
I'm like, I'm not doing. And let me mind you, I'm fucking this big, and I'm terrified of heights. So they're climbing poles all day, and I'm like, that seems like the worst fucking job you could possibly. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that shit. So I was like, man, I want to see how I can do something in the automotive space, like open a shop. And so I went. I sat in class like a couple of days, and it just wasn't for me. Like, I'm listening to these teachers yap about how whatever I'm learning at the moment is so important, and I'm like, yeah, you're sitting here, not to be a dick, you know, I love teachers, shout out to our teachers and stuff, but like at the end of the day, you're sitting here teaching a bunch of kids that don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I understand you're passionate about this and you love this, but none of these kids in this classroom are listening to you right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucked up to me. Like, it's a waste of not only the teacher's time, but our time as well. Yeah. So I'm like, well, in my mind, college is more for like, oh, you can pick what you want to take, but you still got to do the recs, you know? And I'm like, I'm not going to be here long enough to finish this shit. Like, I'm like, you better put me in finance or some shit. So I did it for a little bit. And the nail on the coffin, I think, was when the whole like COVID shit first broke out. When the first case came over, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do online? I have ADHD, bro. I'm not going to sit on a computer all day. I'm like,
let alone pay for it.
Now, don't get me wrong, I was getting hella fast food. I was getting like $2,200 a semester.
There you go.
And I was turning around and buying car parts with that shit. So I was already like, I had accumulated like probably like $6 grand from fast food. And I'm like, this, at the time, bro, I was working fucking at Habit Burgers or some shit like that. I'm like, this is what I make like half the year. I'm like, so as long as I keep living how I'm living and I keep this money stacked, I don't have to go to work for 6 months. I can figure out what I'm going to do. So I fucking packed up my last day at college. It was like a Tuesday or some shit like that. I just finished. It was midday, bro, 12 o'clock. I remember the teacher was talking to me, bro, and I was sitting in class, and like, I've always been somebody that's like, and it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. I've always like had a little bit of anxiety of like my future. Like, my weird thing is like, when I was younger, bro, was I was going to die in a car accident before anything happened. Like, before I could even try to make a name for myself. Like, there was a weird feeling that I always had. And like, what I remember sitting in this fucking class, and my whole thing was like, I could be doing so much cool shit right now. Like, even if it wasn't gonna get me nowhere, people would be like, oh, Nick's doing cool shit. So I'm like, I'm done with this shit, bro. I packed up my bag, I dipped, and at the time I had a slammed SL500 on AMG wheels and shit. It was pretty clean. I drove home, started posting pictures of it, made like little videos and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna do car content full time. And at that time, there was a small select group of people that were getting paid for it. Other than that, it was just like a passion.
Like 2020, right? Because it's like,
this is like 2019, 2020, okay. Right when COVID was rolling around. And I'm thinking like, fuck it, like if I can post enough about my car, get sponsors and stuff like that, maybe I can roll that into something. It didn't, but it gave me a platform where I was posting the cars a lot, and then I was posting skateboarding, the fixies and all that stuff. And I think at the time, like, that was probably my first Instagram. This is before influencer was so big. I had like 20,000 followers on IG, and this is when I was like a high schooler going into college. So that was
Twitter too. No, you're tweeting now.
Oh yeah, Twitter. Damn, I completely forgot about that shit. Yeah, on Twitter, bro. I already had like 60,000. I think
that's when I first like maybe stumbled upon you. Yeah, like Twitter, like car shit. But you're also like posting like stupid shit.
Yeah,
like,
I forgot about Twitter. Like, I completely forgot till right now. Yeah, but no, Twitter. I had like 60,000 followers on Twitter at that time. Yeah. So Twitter, bro, fuck. Damn, I completely skipped that part. Yeah, I had a Twitter. I got on Twitter 2014, bro. That was like probably my rise to like popularity was because of the name 5'4" on a good day. And that was just funny because everybody, like, my thing was like, I'm short. People are going to make fun of me. I can't grow.
You leaned into it, and you kind of like,
You know, it was probably one of my best, bro, because even now I do that with like shit in life now. I'm like, if I can't change this fucking whatever this is, might as well just thug it out. So my whole thing was like 5'4" on a good day. You know, I would make short jokes, make the memes and stuff like that. And that's how I gained popularity in the high school, which rolled over into like college and stuff like that. And when I got like introduced to a couple of my boys out from the Inland Empire, I started realizing that there's a lot more money in what can we say on this podcast and not say?
I guess we could say anything on YouTube.
Can we?
Just not like
incriminating shit.
Yeah, but you know, you would like.
I got introduced
to you know, or I
got introduced to flips. I guess you could say
flipping stuff, selling stuff.
Yeah, and it was different shit. It wasn't just like I was doing cars and stuff too. So that's where I realized like, all right, cool, I can go buy because I had the skills to work on my own shit. So I knew.
So you already knew that.
Yeah. So I'm like,
that's in my back pocket.
Yeah. I'm like, if worst comes to worst, bro, I'll go be a fucking mechanic up the street or something. You know what I mean? Or even worse, I'll go work with my fucking dad. You know what I mean? So I'm like, whatever. I'll go be a mechanic.
Yeah.
But growing up and realizing like, damn, we never really had no bread. I'm like, is there money in being a mechanic?
Yeah.
Or it might have just been my dad. My dad just didn't have no damn money. But so I'm like, all right, cool. I know that this is like something I can last resort it. I ended up dropping out of college, doing like the content shit full time. I had a little bit of cash, and I think like the first month, bro, when I dropped out of college, I went out with like the homies every day. Like all the $5,000 went to $4,000, went to $3,000 to like $2,000. And I'm like, all right, damn, this is fucking 6 months worth of savings went off in like a month. And you know, all my boys and shit, they were still in college, and they were like, oh, well, it's cool. We're gonna get FAFSA next semester. And I'm like, yeah, you motherfucker, not me. I'm already dropped out, bro. And they were like, what the fuck? I was probably one of the first kids to drop out of college out of my homie group. And everybody's like, you're a fucking idiot, bro. What are you going to do? Let me mind you, all these motherfuckers had like C's and D's in college. I'm like, no, you guys are fucking idiots, bro. I'm like, we were all in the same class.
The whole situation's fucking funny.
Yeah, I'm like, we're all, and I had one homie that went to a fucking good college. Shout out Jose. He went to Long Beach State. The rest of us went to Rio Hondo and Long Beach City. I'm like, bro, we were getting gang banged on in the parking lot, bro. I'm not getting my education in Long Beach, bro. I'm like, I can't do it. So, yeah, I ended up dropping out. I had like 20-some left to my name, and I bought like this little E30, a BMW, sitting in somebody's backyard for fucking years, wasn't running, I towed it.
So you're buying it to flip it, or are you buying it like, fuck it?
Initially, it was, I guess you could say, to keep.
I'm just trying to figure out where your mind's at. Yeah.
Back then, it was to keep for sure, because I didn't know about profit margins in cars back then. So yeah, I think it was to keep, and plus that was before like the whole classic car like fad came around. So this was still like at the time, bro. I was buying E30s for $3,500, $4,000, 2-door coupes, low mileage, clean titles. You know, now they go for 15, 20 grand. So at the time, I'm like, fucking, I'm gonna go pick up as many of these motherfuckers as I possibly. So when my father came over from Europe, his first, like when he touched base in America, the first thing they started building was like Hondas, the turbo Hondas. This is like late 80s, early 90s. That rolled over into the fad, died probably like early 2000s. He got into Euro. So growing up, we always had like Porsches, BMWs, Mercedes, all that shit. And that's what I worked on. And so I knew that there was a pocket between my generation of kids and adults that liked these older BMWs. So instead of buying a fucking 2007 Sentra for $3,000, I can go buy a fucking 87 BMW, and I can go sell that shit, because the Sentra's gonna be the Sentra no matter what. At the end of the day, this BMW is gonna be a classic. So I was like, cool. I knew that there was some net positive in building these vehicles. I didn't understand that I was gonna make grand, but I knew that there was some net positive. So I kind of rolled into that, and then my first car, bro, I ended up building it, posting it on Instagram, and went viral. And that's when I guess you could say like that was my first full step in like the car industry, where I was starting to get to like a bunch of the other influencers. We're starting to talk to shops and stuff like that. But the thing is like, I was not to knock anybody else's game, but like I was one of the only kids that was doing the work himself, and if not myself, me and my father. I didn't take my shit to shops. I didn't have.
So you're posting, maybe working on it, the whole process, where maybe like for the viewers, like someone else maybe just be buying it and kind of building, having somebody picking it up, and it's cool, finished product.
But you know what it is? That's a small portion of people that can afford that. You know what I mean? And like the thing is if you can afford to go build an older car and get it restored, you can afford a new car. Kids are gonna go buy the new car. You know what I mean?
So it's almost like part of restoring the old car is that process, really.
Exactly.
Because if not, then go cop
the fucking Lambo, whatever it is.
Interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's where I gathered a lot of my popularity. Was I was showing people like, look, you don't have to be fucking master mechanic. You don't got to be super fucking duper rich. You can do this shit in the garage with a little bit of tools. Yeah. And even if you didn't want to do it, you know what I mean? It's cool. Like, bro, I was teaching people how to do oil change, how to check motors,
chain brakes,
like, just little shit that like you should know as a man. One day, God forbid, you're driving down the fucking street and your shit flies off. So, I gained a lot of popularity like that, and with the popularity came people buying my shit, because then they were like, well, fuck. There was a group of people that were like, hey, I don't know how to work on cars, but I just seen you do the whole shit. I want to buy it. So I remember I had I took it to Turnbull Canyon right here, and I crashed really bad at night into the fucking guardrail. On one of like the death turns, bro, and that was probably like one of the closest moments I came to death, bro. Like, clipped the guardrail and the car spun, and I remember thinking like, oh my god, my mom's gonna fucking kill me if I don't die here. So the fucking car spun, and I like felt like I was teetering, but the car ended up sliding onto the other side of the crevice, hitting the wall. So I hit the fucking inside of the canyon, thank God. But I not totaled. Whoever bought this, it wasn't totaled, I promise you. But smashed the whole front of the car in, frame, everything. Wow. And went home, put it on a frame rack, pulled it, rebuilt the car, slapped it together, and Had some dude that hit me up and was like, yo, I'll buy it off you for $5,000. And I think after the accident, I was probably into the car like $2,700, $2,800.
Okay.
And the car wasn't worth no $10,000 because I had wrecked the fucking thing. So let the dude buy it off me. He picked it up. But bro, that was an extra $3,000 in my pocket that I didn't have. So I'm all right, cool. Let me go buy 2 of these motherfuckers. Then I bought 2, started fixing them up, flipping them. And then it got to the point where if I can knock out a car every month, I'm making more money off the cars than I was at a job. And I was just doing the shit that I liked. So I probably went through. Yeah, it was. And it's spitballed pretty quick because I had my father in my corner. You know what I mean? He would tell me, "Hey, it's a stupid idea."
Because that's the world you're coming from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As if somebody was a carpenter's dad.
Yeah.
And you're building a desk. You know, you're gonna have some. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I do attribute a lot of the success in the car culture in general. Is usually kids that come from like parents that have some sort of knowledge in the space. Mm-hmm. That's usually what builds like a kid. Because there's 2 type of influencers you see nowadays, and it sucks to say, bro, but everybody knows this shit. Nowadays, everybody in the car space, like you just said, go buy a brand new car, 30 seconds later, tow it to a shop, rip it apart, rebuild it. Oh, look. And then they're bored of the car in 6 months. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, you have no attachment to that vehicle. It's a $150,000 fucking paperweight in your front yard. Yeah, it's cool. And like, to the people that don't know about cars, that shit's cool. But like, to somebody that enjoys vehicles, like, bro, I enjoy watching, and I do this shit all the time, bro. I'll watch motherfuckers build shit that I'll never buy in my life. A Mazda, a fucking little Miata, whatever it may be.
You're just watching.
Just watch them work on the cars, bro, because that's what I like doing. Yeah. And like, it's always cool to see another perspective of somebody else's life. And like, in my videos, right, I always like to portray why I like these vehicles. Why do I like old BMWs? Well, they're nimble, they make good power, parts are readily available, and the other thing is they're cool as fuck, bro. No matter what age you are, you see an old BMW, it's sick. Now, whole reason I bought the Tacoma outside, I was fucking on my TikTok one night, saw this random ass dude talk about why the new Tacoma is the best car he ever bought. That motherfucking video was so good, I drove to Toyota the next day and bought one. I'm like, either this motherfucker's bullshit or this truck is gonna be badass. Bought the truck, I love it. Same shit with the AMG. The reason why I bought the Mercedes-Benz was because I saw a video of some dude talking about this is the best crossover Mercedes, whatever. And I'm like, damn, that shit looks kind of tight. I'm like, oh, my wife needs a car. Fuck it. Went, picked it up, dogged the shit out that car for like 1.5 years, 2 years. Loved that Mercedes. So it's always been like that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I guess spiraled into me flipping cars, where my dad was like, hey, this is a good flip, pick this up. And the other thing I think was my dad kind of living through me as well, because my dad had like bills and shit to pay, like couldn't always work on all these other projects. And like I was always the one to be like, you know, my dad was my dad always liked the very top of the line BMWs. You know what I mean? He wanted M3s only. He wanted this shit. Bro, I was fucking broke. I would buy the shittiest thing. Yeah, you know what I mean? But then it got to the point where my dad was like, man, I didn't know these little fucking things came with this or that. So like he would help me build the cars to almost like what he would do with his shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, bro, I started getting to the point where, you know, before right after I got my license, I think like probably like 3-4 years after my license, I was probably like 18, 19 years old. I already went through like fucking 17 cars. And like it got to the point where I was like, you know, making at least $2-3K each car. Shit. So I started like, you know, stacking some bread. And I'm like, I can get even more cars with this, whatever. And then that's when like the whole, you know, I know like Supreme was camping out like, you know, 15, 14, 15, 16, all this shit, but I didn't have money for that shit. Yeah. Now I started getting money. And that's when like Virgil Abloh was like huge, right? Off-White was like the craziest thing. UNC's came out, I was a 5.5. And we waited for it. One of my boys hit me up. He's like, yo, selling you these, but they're going to cost you $5,000. And he sold me on this crazy vision where it's like, yo, the resale value on this, they're not going to make them anymore. They're a small size. It's very hard to get. It'll be a $20,000 shoe. I bought the UNCs. They just sat, whatever. Nah, they're dead stock, never wore them. One day came, and I was like, I'm just going to wear it, like, just around the house. You know what I mean? Just to like, wear it. Yeah. So I remember I like threw my kicks up on a table or something. Or I was actually on the BMW. I threw my kicks up on the BMW, and I took a picture. And this is back when, like, Pinterest and all that shit. Yeah. Posted it, went hella viral. And I was always like very particular with Instagram captions, always like some stupid shit, you know what I mean? And those started getting picked up by like random people. Then I started getting like a bunch of followers from like fashion and clothing and this and that. And I wasn't really in the space, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I like cool shoes, but like my shirts, clothing, shits were belly as fuck. Yeah. So I think I went to, I think it was the Callejones. I think it was the alleys, yeah. I went and I bought probably like $500-$600 worth of fake shit, bunch of fake shit, Dior shirts, Prada shirts, all this shit. Okay, I had real shoes. Okay, rest of my shit was fake. Yeah. And the thing was, bro, is I was like, I'm not spending $450 on a t-shirt to wear it to dinner and put a fucking ketchup stain on it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, but if I can post in all of this clothing, people are gonna be like, damn, he's dripped out. You know what I mean? And like 90% of the time, the shoes that I was getting, I'll do legit checks on them. So people are like, all right, he's spending $5K on shoes. Like the $250 shirt's real. Has to be. You know what I mean?
I get you.
So that's how I started getting into the scene. Was I would go to Melrose, we'd be posing, I'd be wearing fucking fake ass shit, but the shoes were always like the hit. So then I got into Sean Witherspoon's, you know, shattered backboards, all that shit, and started. That's like when the trend started coming in heavy, where everybody was coming in. So then I was like, fuck, bro. I remember I was on, I think it was StockX, and like at one point the UNCs were worth like 15K. That's dead stock, obviously though. I look at my shits are fucking beat to shit, but a lot of the comments were like, damn, this is one of the first people I see that actually wears his shit. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm already here. Like, I might as well just rock it out. You know what I mean? So I started wearing all my shoes, just wearing the shit. And, like, the whole fashion stuff was cool, but I realized a lot of people, it almost wasn't even, like, the brand that you were rocking. It was just, like, the image that you portrayed, right? And for one, being short and, like, being, I guess you could say, confident in my height or whatever, brought a lot of people over to my page where I was like, damn, this little fool's fucking dressing and like,
because you're repping for all, like, maybe there's another short dude like you that's like got picked on. It's like, nah, homie, I'm swagged out.
Bro, and let me mind you, like, this is when I started getting into social media, so I started posting clips and content was coming out. I had a lot more followers now, so you know, it was easier for me to kind of be myself because I had a lot of fucking followers. So I was like, at the end of the day, people fuck with it. Somebody fucks with it, you know what I mean? So
it don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of spiraled into, you know, I started getting into that trend, and then that trend, it even made me start buying like the real shit. Then I was camping out, and I was spending $500-$600 on a t-shirt.
What year is this right here? Like,
this is probably like 21, 22.
Yeah, a little after COVID or during
the
whole
COVID,
pandemic.
EDD,
you know?
PPP, bro.
And are you starting? And in that era, are you starting your brand?
No, not yet, bro.
Okay,
no,
so 20.
So I launched the brand February 2nd,
because the brand kind of starts the whole what you're doing now as far as marketing. And right. That kind of opens the door to like, yo.
Yeah, that's where like I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. So what year is
20?
Yeah. What year do you translate to like? Hold on, I could maybe.
Yeah, I think it was.
Do this.
I want to say it was. I might be mistaken, bro.
One of the some
20.
after.
It was either February 2nd, 21, or February 2nd, 22.
Okay, something after COVID.
Because we had obviously COVID. Everybody had money. I stacked up enough cash where the designer shit was like, it was cool, but it got to the point where like, this is when I started doing social media full time. We were milking TikTok. I'm making 20, 30K a month off this shit. And like, we're in the clubs, blowing this money, whatever. And I realized like, damn, I had, like I said, from the fashion shit, bro, I had a lot of people asking me like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get this? How'd you wear this? Whatever it may be. Hey, I'm also short. What size do you wear? How much do you weigh? Like, it started getting heavily into, like, the fashion shit. And I'm like, bro, I don't know fucking nothing about nothing. You know what I mean? I knew, like, 5 brands. I knew fucking Off-White. Like, And, you know what I mean? Like, it got to the point where I only had probably, like, 7 pairs of shoes. And I had posted 7 pairs of shoes, like, 50 times. So I'm like, all right, bro.
I need some new shit now.
Yeah, I need to either buy some new shit. And, like, I'm not, like, you know, somebody that knows, like, the low-key hitters or shit like that. Like, I only knew the biggest shit out there, and it was hard to find 5, and fucking a lot of the popular shoes, they didn't even make them that small. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, fuck. Like, I got a bunch of following for this shit. Like, what if I just make my own clothes? And then I just do, like, what I like. And so that started off where it wasn't even an idea for a clothing line. It was merch. Because at this time during COVID, this is when I started, like, really making money. Like, that's when I first started getting cash. And I ran it up during COVID. I ran it up crazy. I probably did... Fuck. Before my 21st birthday, bro, I already burned through $1 million. And this is like, I know it's stupid, bro, but this was like, it also, this is what correlated to like all my YouTube channels and shit. You know what I mean? Everybody was talking about how like I was blowing money. I was taking all the boys out, we're doing all this shit.
So it's like that kind of, like if you don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're kind of saying if you don't blow that much money, you don't have the following to what leads you to other shit.
Like the thing that separated me was being young with the money. You know what I mean? And so, like...
Yeah, I feel that.
I mean, even now, look at Steve Will do and all that shit. Like, why do people watch him? Do you have millions of dollars to go gamble at Red Rock? No. But it's cool to kind of fucking watch through him, you know what I mean? And be like, holy shit, $50,000 hand. So, I guess you can say it was almost like the same steps, like, where I was kind of just like, all right, I'm going to throw out this lifestyle because I know it's going to attract a bunch of people. And that's what I told you. I started realizing I was attracting the wrong type of people.
Yeah.
But my first, like, all right, cool, I can make some bread off this was... we had made a very small brand, and it was Prosper. That's how I got my business name, Prosper. And with this, we sold it probably for like 4 or 5 months. I didn't make much. Probably made like 20 grand off, 30 grand off it. But I was like, all right, cool. That's how I learned Shopify. That's how I learned garments. That's how I learned fulfillment. That's how I learned production, screen printing, DTF, all that shit. That's where I learned it at. And with this money, I'm like, all right, cool. And let me mind you, like this whole time, still posting, still doing. I'm with all the boys from Sweet Tea. I'm doing all this shit. My popularity is just growing up. My first TikTok account had like 1.4 mil, so I'm like milking my TikTok followers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna drop because Prosper, I had a partner. OGD, I'm like, this is gonna be my shit. Yeah. So I dropped OGD, which stands for On a Good Day Los Angeles. Bro, I did my first drop. We sold out in like fucking 30 seconds. I only had like 200 pieces, but we sold out instantly. Made $5K off that. And I'm like, all right, cool. Boom, took this $5K. Now let me go buy $5K worth of merch. So then I flipped $5K to $10K, $10K to $20K. And then it got to the point where I was doing 25 to like 35,000 a drop. You know what I mean? And like, now I'm making I'm making money from my other shit, making money from the internet, and I'm making money from the clothing brand. Now I'm making like fuck you money. Now I'm making money like even my mom was like,
and you're 20.
I'm 20. I'm not even 21 yet, bro.
Yeah.
My birthday was February 2nd. Now, got to the point where I was like, my mom was telling me that, hey, Poppy, you're making a lot of money, blah blah, this and that. You should start getting into housing, this and stuff. My whole thing is like, nah. I'm too young, like, you know what I mean? I was just like, I'm trying to think.
You weren't even thinking, because you didn't know game, you know, like respectfully, because like,
yeah, bro.
Who did you know? Like you said, your dad and your mom just kind of did their thing.
Yeah, bro. We didn't even have a house.
So exactly. So opposed to like, if you had, if you came from a family, same for me. Like, I was thinking about renting until I found out. Oh, I got enough for a down payment.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that was like the big thing, right? It's like I didn't have, I guess you could say it like that.
Big guidance, mentor,
yeah, you know what I mean?
Whatever. Like Pops is cool. Pops is doing his thing, but like as far as
yeah. And the thing was, like I told you, all my homies were fucking degenerates too, bro. My homies were living with their parents. You know what I mean? I was already moved out at this time. I moved out at 18, so I was like, I'm already up, way more up than y'all. So I'm like thinking, I'm up here already. You know what I mean? Not realizing that real life is a big portion. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm making a bunch of bread. I'm buying all the cool cars. I'm doing all this stupid shit. But then I started kind of like. I guess you can say I let the money like get to me, I guess. And to be fucking completely fair, bro, coming from
where we come from, it's like, once you get that first little bit. Yeah.
And it's funny, I get like people all the time that are like, how did the money affect you? Yeah, money would affect you too, motherfucker. Yeah. Like it's, bro, coming from fucking having $50 to your name to opening your bank account and seeing $200,000-$300,000, bro. I remember when I was 19 years old, bro, I probably had like $16,000 to $20,000 saved. And my first thing in my head was like, oh, I'm gonna save this money, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go buy a nice car. I'm just have a cool car to drive around, this and that. Bro, by the time I was 21, I had $250,000 in my Chase account, and I'm thinking like I could go technically buy any car I want right now. I could do payments on this shit. Nobody would know. Like I'm thinking like an idiot. You know what I mean? I still like the car shit. That's my thing. So yeah, I was making good money or whatever, and I started slacking a little bit with the clothing. Right? I started fucking sending out orders late or fucking up orders, whatever it may be. And that's what kind of made me realize like, oh shit, this is a fucking business. I got people bitching at me, people refunding. I got people that love the clothing. Like it was no longer an attachment of just like, yo, I'm selling merch, come buy it.
Because merch is almost just an attachment of like an influencer or like support me, and it's like it could even be just dumb, with your YouTube channel,
or whatever. Yeah. Like
but when you say brand, it's almost like, okay, let me think a little more intentional.
Yeah.
And like,
like actually, and that was the thing, bro. Is for a long time I was battling who am I and what's my brand. You know what I mean? Because for a long time, I thought Nick OGD was OGD Los Angeles, which in essence it was when it started, because it was like more of a merch line. But really early on, I realized like, bro, I'm getting people from fucking Nashville, Nebraska, Tennessee. People, I've never met these motherfuckers in my life, and they don't even know who I am.
Yeah, let alone LA.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They just like the whole idea of like what I was throwing on the t-shirts. And like, to be fair, I was doing, and this is like before SDL, this is before all that. So I was posting guns on my shit in 2019, 2020. Like
I've been with the guns.
Yeah, bro. I'm like, I've been doing this gangster shit. And like, let me remind you, you can't wear this to school. You can't wear this like. And one of my most popular t-shirts was my Mugshot. And bro. Like and that was like another big thing too. Like I said, I let the money, the fashion, whatever, kind of get to my head, and I was just not as clear as I should have been, and that led me down like a path of like partying, just popping pills, smoking, all that shit, where I was like, to be honest with you, bro, just like living my dream in essence. Like I'm like, bro, this is what all the TV rappers do. Like, bro. Yeah, bro, I'm living like fucking Eazy-E right now, bro. I'm like, this is tight, except for some of the parts. So I'm like, I'm ripping it, I'm having a blast, and then I ended up getting busted for a DUI right when I turned 21. Lost my license, and I'm thinking like, this shit's a joke, bro. Not that drinking and driving is a joke, but I'm talking about like
in that
the
moment,
repercussions.
you're not thinking, you're like,
bro.
fuck
I'm like,
this.
you have to suspend this motherfucking motor. You want me to stop driving? So I'm out on the streets. Boom. 2 weeks later, I'm faded with the homies. Get pulled over by the same fucking cop.
Oh, wow.
And he looks at me in my face, and I told him straight up, I'm like, bro, you know where I live? Just let me get home, bro. He's like, are you drunk? And I'm like, no. He's like, I can smell you guys. He's like, I know you guys are faded. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you do understand that smoking weed is the same as being impaired by alcohol. And I'm like, for real? And he's like, it's actually a longer fucking point. He's like, 12 hours, you can't even be in the vehicle. And I'm like, dude, like, I mean, let me remind you, bro, I had already gotten booked, lost my license. Like, I had literally been like 4 or 5 days after I got booked. I just lost everything, like my license and all that shit. So he knows I don't have a license. He knows I just got busted. Like, I couldn't even lie to him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, just do me a fucking favor, dog. Follow me home. Just let me drop off the car. Like, I promise you I won't do it again. And, yeah, shout out Officer Garcia. Well, fuck, I might have to cut that out. Actually, no, he's cool. He followed me home to my apartment. I parked the car, and
what city did he catch you in?
Ontario.
I
was dead ass across the street from my apartment, bro.
Oh, okay, so like, it wasn't too crazy.
No, I was at the liquor store.
He did you the solid.
Yeah, I was literally at the liquor store buying wraps to smoke more across the street from my apartment. And what's funny is the gas station he pulled me over at, initially when I got my DUI, I got pulled over on the other side of the street in front of that gas station. And I told him the same story. I said, bro, I live across the street, bro. Like you can't. And he did. He actually let me take the car to the apartment so that I didn't get the car impounded. So he was cool. He's cool all the way around.
Shout out to Garcia's, man. Yeah, my last name.
No, he was, and that's the thing he told me. He's like, man, what do you guys? And bro, it was an S2000, and I had 3 people. I had me driving, and I had my homie and 2 girls in his lap.
Shit's dank.
Yeah, bro.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I'm fucking smoked. I'm like, bro, I'm not even. There's no way to do this. And and he was cool enough, bro, to kind of give me that break. But when I got back to the house, he's like, let me holler at you. I'm like, all right, bet. We probably had like a 45-minute conversation.
Oh, wow.
Where he was like, bro, you're a young kid, and I know you're making money. And because I was like, when I was all drunk, all my homies were like, yo, like, don't trip. Like, we'll bail you out, this and that. Like, he got the whole idea.
The gist of what you guys were doing.
Of what we were doing and shit.
Lifestyle shit.
Yeah, bro, to be completely honest with you, during COVID when this happened, when you got a DUI, as long as like your homies came and bailed you out within like the fucking like 3-4 hours or whatever, you didn't get into the drunk tank. But you still had to bail out. My homies, before I got my fingerprints and all that shit, my homies were at the door. Like, yo, blah, blah. And they had, like, chains and shit. I took all my chains off and all this stuff. So, like, he
got this.
Yeah.
Like, he already knew you weren't going to go through the bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
so he knew, like, we also
I got to speak to this young kid, man, and get in his ear. Yeah, so what did he say?
He had just told me, like, bro, you're fucking up. Like, if you're doing good, bro, this is not a way to do good. You know what I mean? He's like, if you are doing good, like, get into, something that can be fruitful later down the line. Because he told me the same shit. And I think he thought I was just trapping. Mm-hmm. And I tried to explain to him, I'm like, bro, I sell clothes, bro. Like, I don't even fucking trap.
2022.
But, like, so
influencing that it's peak, literally, and like content.
But he's an older cat, you know what I mean? I don't think he'd really understand. Like, you can make money with social media and stuff. So, like, I was trying to explain to him too, like, bro, it's not what you think. Like, but I think his whole thing was like, no, you're just a dumb kid. Like, I don't care how you make the money, you're still a dumb kid.
Yeah.
So that was his big thing. Like, hey, bro, like, if you're doing good for yourself, take care of yourself. And like, his big thing was like, money can do anything, right? But it can never get you time back. He's like, you get locked up and you do 6 years, you come out, that's 6 years, you'll never buy that 6 years back. He's like, granted, you kill somebody, he's like, you just threw your life away for that shit. He's like, is that something you want to do? And at that time, that was like something that really resonated with me because my dad's best friend, which we consider my uncle, was in an issue with my dad when they were younger. They were like 19 years old, where sucks to say, but my uncle ended up shooting somebody, and the guy ended up passing away. And my dad got locked up at 18, and my dad's 50. Sorry, not my dad, my uncle. Got locked up at 18, and he's 56 years old now, 57 years old, bro. And he's been in, locked up, and his whole life is gone. And like, that's why I really like that shit. Did really resonate with me because I'm like, fuck, dude, my dad's been telling me about this my whole life, So yeah, we had like a 45-minute combo, bro, and he really did speak game to me and stuff. And he had told me, like, he's like, I've seen a lot of kids like you make a lot of money. Excuse me. But it doesn't last long. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna slow down on this shit. I think it was like 6 months later, I had bought that Supra, and just way too much of a car for me at that age. I was just dumb, no license, already on probation. And I'm coming home with my little brother, who's a minor at the fucking time. I'm coming home to my mom's house right here. I'm going to drop him off, and a Hellcat pulls up to me. And some little Edgar, this girl, talking all this shit. And at that time, I had the Supra was turbo, port injection, made good power. at that time was probably one of the only Supras out there that was like semi-built. And the car boogied. I knew I was going to drag that Hellcat. And like, it was one of those things where it was like, I knew way better like than to fucking race him, but it was just like heat of the moment. Plus my little brother's in this car.
Ego, pride.
Yeah. And at the time, like I let me mind you, I moved out when I was 18. My little brother was like 12. So like I missed a big portion of my brother's life. You know what I mean? Where I was like moved out partying and trapping, and like there was a long portion of my life where I didn't come home to visit my family just because, like, to be honest, I got really heavy into Molly. And I was tweaked out, bro. I was like all skinny and shit, all sucked up. And like, my mom and dad aren't stupid, bro. They know, like, you know what I mean? But they caught me fucking with Molly when I was in high school because of raves. So like, they knew, they're not dumb. And like, that's one thing I do regret. Like, I never really came back around because I was just more embarrassed, I guess you can say. Like,
you don't want to show your face almost.
Yeah, I'm like,
I feel that.
Because, you know, everybody in their perspective is like, oh, our son's living on his own. He's got all this money. He's got all this shit. He's doing this business. And in reality, I'm just tweaking at home with the homies, getting fucking faded. You know what I mean? Like, not doing shit. So it's like one of the first times me and my little brother in the car, like, enjoying ourselves, and he likes cars just as much as me. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna blow the fucking doors off this boy. So light turns red, and light turns green, and I'm in the left lane early turn, and I cut across all the individual traffic to get next to him, and we take off, and it's probably a quarter mile from my mom's house, bro, and it's a two-way street, like 3 lights down. There's 2 sheriffs at a stoplight, and I obviously didn't fucking see. I don't have a police scanner or nothing. Light turns green, I take off. And I don't remember exactly how fast I was going, but when I looked at the speedo, like at the last time, I was doing like 150, 155 on a street, bro. And let me mind you, this is like right after school hours for 25 or whatever the fuck. Yeah, so like it's probably midday, bro. It's probably like 3, 4 p.m. I blow past the cops, and the Hellcat's not too far behind me either. He probably blew past the cop at like 140, 152. Get to the next light, and fool rolls down the window, looks straight at me, and he's like, we're going to jail. I'm running. And I'm like, cool, like, they're going to go at whoever runs first. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And so he gets the jump on the light. He makes a left down Norwalk to smash down towards like the AMC and shit. Yeah. I'm on Telegraph still, and I'm like, I had like that moment of like panic where I'm like, nah, they're going to fuck me too. And I look over to my little brother, and I'm like, fuck it. So I take off, and I got a good gap between me and the cop. Like realistically, the only reason I stopped was at the time the Supra was wrapped with Marlboro. So it had like my Marlboro wrap all over it, and it had my name all over it. It said Enchirica 22, like it had all my initials, everything. Like, it's not hard to call in a fucking
you're not gonna get a
red car with a fucking Marlboro wrap. And I'm like smashing whatever, and I look over, I see my little brother, and I'm like, dude, all I fucking need is to crash this fucking whip and kill this kid. So I just pulled over, I surrendered, I put my hands out the window, I threw the keys. Cop came up to me, and he was fucking he was just tripping. I gave it to him. I was a young kid in a fucking fast car. Plate says "Please, Mom," so it's like a bunch of just a bunch of shit to probably piss him off. He yanks me out of the fucking car, and he's like, oh, and I'm thinking like, all right, cool, they didn't impound the car or whatever. He's like, you have a warrant for your arrest. You're going to jail. And I'm like, the fuck? And he even asked me my name, and I'm like, so how'd you get that? But from the plate, they were able to see. So whatever. Throw me in the back of the car. My little brother's a minor, so they're like interrogating my little brother, and I'm screaming out the window. I'm like, he's a minor. And finally, one of the cops kind of looks over at me, and he asks my brother, how old are you? My brother's like, I'm 17. My brother's all fucking banged out, got a little mustache. Just he looks like it. I'm like, dude, fucking, you know what I mean? Have him on the curb, whatever. He was able to call my dad. My dad pulls up. My dad's got record, too. As soon as my dad pulls up, they're like, your son's going to jail. Like, there's no way we're impounding the car. He's going to jail. He's fucked. He got caught doing this. So, thank God, bro. I got so lucky. I had in the back seat of my backpack, I had probably like a mason jar like that big, full of weed, bro. Brand new. It was my boys that I was supposed to just drop off. I wasn't even using it or nothing. But if they would have searched the vehicle with all of that shit, bro, I would have went to jail for that shit because I had just gotten busted for the fucking DUI months prior to that shit. So anyways, whatever. I went to jail and booking all that shit, and I just felt disgusting. I'm like, dude, this is fucking stupid. And I'm like, I'm trying to bail out, fucking trying to figure out what the fuck I got to do. But all my money's in Ontario. My parents have never been to my apartment. All of my homies, I don't have their number on speed. I don't know their fucking number by heart. So I'm like trying to call my mom to see what. I remember my mom was like, call your fucking dad. Like, she was just so done with my shit. I call my dad, and my dad's like, come get you in the morning when they let you out. And I'm like, fuck, dude, whatever. So I did the night in jail, and I was just like, it was just the longest fuck. Because I went in at like 3, 4 p.m. the night before, and I got out at 6 a.m. the day after. It was just a long time, bro, just thinking about my shit. And I'm like, what am I doing, bro? Like, I'm sitting there with bums and shit. And I'm like, you guys are fucking losers, bro.
Yeah, especially considering, you know, someone in that cell may never had more than $20.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like,
and you considering, you know, your experience of the life you're living for the past 5 years.
Yeah, and I'm like, and that's when I thought back to the cop, where I'm like, dude, fuck, he didn't even know me. He was right. You know what I mean? Like, and I knew, like, thank God it wasn't the same county. You know, I got caught in Ontario for the DUI shit, and I got caught in LA for the car shit. So I'm like, thank God, like, hopefully he won't be able to see my shit. You know what I mean? But I'm like, damn, dude. So I got out the next day, and that whole night I'm like thinking, like, because bro, for the DUI alone, I was in hella fucking debt. I had to pay off my lawyer, I had to pay off the ticket, I had to pay off all that shit, all the fines, plus the AA and all that shit. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, I already needed 10-15 grand for that, plus all this shit. I'm like, God damn, boy. So I'm like, all right, cool. I need at least 20 grand to pay for the lawyer to handle both cases. And that way, like, I can fucking cut it off and be like, hey, I'm not going to do this.
Just one thing,
one
time
fee. You know what I mean? And, like, let me mind you, I just bought the Supra and I got waxed. I paid $20K over stickers. So I paid like $85,000 for that car. So I still owed fucking $54,000 on that vehicle at the time. So I'm thinking, like, $20K here, still $54 for the car. Like, 70 grand in debt right there, bro. Like, and I'm just trying to do the math, and I'm like, I got bread, but like, if I take this into consideration, that's a big portion of my chunk gone. And so I got out the next morning, and my dad pretty much just was telling me, like, hey man, like, stupid is as stupid does, like, you know what I mean? But my dad, I grew up with my dad in and out jails too, you know what I mean? So like, my dad would get busted, run from cops. Like, it's hard for him to be like, hey, don't do, you know what I mean? I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. I don't have the fucking patience for you right now. So he just told me straight up, like, we didn't say much. He just told me, he's like, you know, he's like, you're smarter than this, and you know you're smarter than this. So fucking, if you're gonna be a dickhead, like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, my poor son, you know, you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, got back to the house, whatever. And I remember I sat on the curb, and I was like, well, fuck, how do I get back to my apartment? Because I'm in Ontario, mind you. So I got dropped off at Santa Fe Springs. Thank God I had like 4 cars at the time. So I picked up my Raptor and I drove home. And when I'm driving home, I'm like, I got to do something, bro. So I got to make some bread. I got to drop clothing. I get home, I'm like planning this drop, and it was supposed to be the initial drop was before you come in overnight success, you got to be an everyday hustler drop. And I'm planning all this out. I ended up getting like an email or whatever from my lawyer, and he's like, hey, they just released your new information. Like, we're going to have a meeting, this and that. And I'm like kind of going through it, and I'm just thinking like, fuck, bro. I was like, what'd they give me for? They're like, well, attempted evasion, and then you were driving with a minor. And I'm like, so what's the minor shit? And he's like, bro, it's reckless endangerment because he was a minor. And I'm like, what's my brother? And they're like, no, it's a minor. And I'm like, fuck, dude. And he's like, you know, the driving one, we might be able to get it, you know, taken down a little bit. But he's like, the reckless endangerment, bro, he's like, that can fuck up your parents. You know what I mean? Because technically they should be watching your little brother, and they're in the car with you. And I was like, oh my God. So that spiraled into like a whole mess where I was just like, that's really scary. You know what I mean? So, but as this whole time he's like explaining this to me, my mugshot is on the top of that paper, and I have like red hair. I'm like laughing a little bit because it wasn't funny, but it was like,
that's just the kind of life you were in.
Yeah, it was just like, it was one of those pictures where like, I was like, well, this will be a funny meme on Twitter. I'm like, fuck it, I'm already in the fucking
hole. You're already in it.
I'm like, I'm already here, dude. So I posted the fucking the mugshot on Twitter, and like overnight millions of views. It went super viral. People are quoting it or whatever. And someone in the comments, like, you know, had like a bunch of fans that were girls or whatever, like, oh, put this on a shirt, I'll buy it. I was like, it's a fucking pretty good idea. So I'm like, all right, mocked it up on a t-shirt. And then I had the writing you have to write on the piece of paper what you come in with. I put like nothing, chains or whatever, and I took that writing and I put it on the front of the shirt, and then I put the mugshot on the back of the shirt, and I dropped it, bro. We did $30,000 overnight on that drop, and that pretty much covered all my expenses for like the lawyer fees and shit. And that's when I like finally got my juices flowing. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm done with this shit, blah blah blah. Because let me mind you, bro, I lost my license for 7 years. I was on probation at the time. I was 21. They were like, you're not gonna get off probation until you're fucking 28 years old, bro. On top of everything else, insurance, like SR22. I had all this shit stacked on me. I'm like, cool, I'm just gonna fucking work, and that's it. But to work, I had to stay that I at least went, you know, I didn't work at the time. So I'm like, well, I live in Ontario, and my office where I do my clothing is my mother's house in Santa Fe Springs. So at least I could drive through, you know, the hours of 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I could drive from Ontario to Santa Fe Springs. Mm-hmm. So if I get pulled over anywhere in between, I'm like, I'm going to work. Work, whatever it was. So yeah, I did that, and that kind of just was like my real like first foot on the gas. After that, I started dropping every other month, and then that developed into ads. And the reason being is I just met some dude at Javier's, Newport. Mm-hmm. My homie's like, yo, he has a killer brand. He's doing this while he's doing $30,000 a drop. And this guy comes up to me. He's like, we can do $60,000, $70,000 a drop if you want to leave your site open. Because I never left my site open. I was just doing drops. I'm like, all right, chop it up, boom, boom. Starts talking to me, explains to me how meta ads work, this and that. He's like, it's $3,000 a month. And at the time, I'm thinking $3,000 to make an extra.
On top of.
Yeah. But I'm like, to make an extra $30,000? oh, this guy's a fucking idiot. He should have took percentage. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Signed on.
Oh,
yeah, because
okay.
I'm thinking like 3 bands to make an extra 30,000 supposedly. Yeah, I'm like, what?
Bet, run it. Yeah, because if not, because you're thinking you're banking on that 30K. 3K doesn't seem like a crazy risk.
Yeah.
Okay, bet.
So I'm like,
run it.
You know, the 3K to the 30 makes sense. Obviously, 3K added to all the shit that I already had.
Sucks,
like,
but
ugh.
you know.
But I'm at the time I'm also, you know, freshly 22 years old. I'm like very new to the space.
Yeah.
I didn't come from like I didn't understand sales. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude was talking to shit. And he had a little Rolex on. He had a fucking nice shirt on. I'm like, he's at Javier's with me. I'm like, looks the part. You know what I mean? I'm like, cool, fuck it. End up signing to him. We worked like 3 months together. And in this 3 months, I'm still gaining popularity. So my sales keep increasing. So he's telling me like, oh, don't trip. It goes slow in the beginning because we have to build your demographic, this and that. And I'm like, cool, sounds right, you know. And the sales I'm getting, you know, I'm doing 30, 40, touching 50. And I'm like, cool, starting to crack now.
How much inventory are you having at this time? So if somebody wanted to start with you, actually, we'll get there to the end. Finish your story, and then we'll talk on the
I was already starting to go down that path too.
We're getting there.
But yeah, so at that time, I'm starting to scale or whatever, and I'm like, all right, cool, he's working too. Until I started asking questions like, okay, well, what do you need to make my shit be better? You know, now I understand digital marketing. It's all content. But he's telling me a bunch of shit. Oh, you got to get the site made. You got to make this product. You got to do this. So I'm fucking paying all these people out of my ass. Redo the site. Do this. Do that. Like changing up a bunch of different shit, thinking it's going to help the ads. And in reality, he just didn't know what the fuck he was doing and was just trying to dish the shit on somebody else. So it got to the point where I paid him $9,000, 3 months worth of paying him, where I'm like, okay, dude, you haven't explained not once how this is going to affect my sales or how I can actually scale this. So I ended up just telling him fuck off or whatever. And he's like, no, bro, like we'll do a whole month free. And if you don't like that month, blah, blah, blah. And in this month free, I met my mentor. I hit him up. At the time, he was multiple 7-figure business owner, like he just serial entrepreneur, has a bunch of different shit. But he started in ads like 2016, 2017, way back in the day. I hit him up, kind of just brushed me off because at the time he knew I was doing influencing. I had the clothing brand and like all the other shit. He's like, you're not serious, bro. He's like, I'm not going to bring you in my circle because, to be honest with you, you're a fucking idiot. I deal with business owners, which is fair enough. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I was just persistent, bro, for like a year, hitting him up. Until finally he like hit me up and he was like, well, what do you know about digital marketing? And I knew this dude from before. His name was Rene Lacoste. Shout out Rene. He had taught me about ads. Like first, he got like my feet wet in the door. So I understood about digital marketing, how it worked, but I didn't understand like really how to run the ads, how to set it up, or how to scale. And my mentor did. So I told him, I said, look, I've been running my own campaigns, which I wasn't. It was the other dude. But I was like running my own campaigns. I've got the ad set up. I've been putting money in daily. I'm spending $50 a day. I just can't figure out how to make more money. He's like, well, this whole fucking ad is fucked up for one. And I'm like, oh, cool. I knew it. I knew I was right. But he's like, but everything else is set up pretty good, like the setup and all that shit. And I'm like, fuck it, all right, I'm wrong with it. He's like, okay, cool. Kind of, sat me down or whatever. And he's like, if you're serious about this, he's like, I'm gonna charge you $15,000. And I remember I heard that shit and I like swallowed a little bit. I'm like, God damn. And he's like, if you don't want to pay it, that's fine. And I think that was like more of him, more or less like just trying to see if I was serious about it. And at that point, I had already did all the fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I spent way more than $15,000 on everything that I've done. Dumb. You know what I mean? I'm like $15,000 to become better. Yeah. I'm like, whatever, bro. So I fucking went, pulled all the cash. Like a couple hours later, showed up at his door. I'm like, well, here. And like everybody was paying, everybody in his inner circle was paying with like fucking Stripe financing.
Zelle or like,
I got cash.
Payments.
And he's like, boom, sat me down. Kind of taught me the ads in like 6-7 weeks, bro. I was already kind of mastering the ads. I was able to scale my own. Then that was able to transition over to my boys' brands. And at the time, I'm still in the influencing space. So I'm connected to all the fucking influencers. And I'm like, well, I'll get you this guy. Give me a portion of what you make off them. And that way I can like kind of broker the deal. And he was like, nah. He's like, you go get him. He's like, you charge him and make the money. He's like, what the fuck do you need me for? You already know the ads. So he kind of just gave me the confidence to go out there. I told him. And like, it's sales, bro. You know what I mean? Get out there and my first couple clients, I'm like, yeah, I've worked with 7-figure brands, bro. Don't trip. I'm like, open up these Shopify accounts with hundreds of thousands of dollars in chargebacks. I was like, I would fucking kill myself, bro. Like that much money.
Yeah.
And these brands
people are on me like that.
Yeah, bro. And these people are like, we'll get back to them later. But they're making, $300,000-$400,000 a month.
Yeah.
So started working with some of these bigger brands, started building a little bit more case studies, getting into, I guess, that route. And I realized like, damn, there's a lot of money in the clothing space, right? Like I can make a lot of money with my clothing brand. But then like I started making, legit straight, PayPal, invoicing.
Yeah.
I started making real cash through the business where I was like, cool, yeah, I made $30K a drop, but I spent $15K to make the close versus this shit I charged $15,000 and I have no overhead.
Yeah.
And it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of like intrigued me a little bit because I'm like, well, this is legit and this seems like something I can do for everybody, not just myself. And that kind of spiraled into me being like, what are the chances I'm the next Supreme or the next fucking, Stussy, whatever it is. And I'm like, dude, I grew up with a lot of brands. Not many of them around anymore. You know what I mean? And those were multi-million-dollar companies at one point.
So it still sounds like your head's still on the brand.
Yeah.
Because that, you just said it right here, like, Stussy, Supreme.
Yeah.
And that's what you see as far as your brand. And the AI tools and like what you've been exposed to.
Oh, yeah.
Is kind of like the secret key nowadays. Because, I do see your posts, and I said it in the intro, and I think I actually stole it from you. But like brand A that succeeds and brand B that doesn't could have the same product,
exactly,
maybe the same owner, but people don't know this guy exists.
Versus this dude that's in front of you every day.
But maybe started with, here's $30K.
Yeah.
Embedded on himself. So that, which leads me into like more specifically you, because of course I want to plug like what you're doing now. You took us on an amazing journey, bro. Yeah. Honestly, from your whole life and you laid it up perfectly to, oh, this is what I'm about now.
Yeah.
And you kind of took learnings from everything, bro, and it's dope. So now, how would one get started with you?
Yeah.
Or like how, like what does that look like for a brand owner out there? And is it just clothes or like what else have you been exposed to in the past year or two?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so it pretty much directly what you said. In essence, spiraled into the marketing, started learning paid ads and stuff. And since I already had my foot in the clothing space, e-com was easier for me, right? Because I was able to turn around and like, imagine I come up to you with your brand, right? Which, by the way, I think your fucking shit's dope. I was just showing my wife earlier today. But imagine I come up to you, right? And I'm like, hey, I can run your ads. Okay, cool. Let me see something you've done before. And I don't have no fucking brands to show you, right? Or even if I do have some brands to show you, but there's somebody else's shit.
Yeah.
It could be a lie. I could be faking a lot of that shit. I could just be screenshotting and hoping that you don't turn around and go and see if it's real or not. But, yeah, come look at my brand. It's OGDLA. I'll show you the fucking Instagram, right? I'll show you my Shopify dashboard. I'll show you my shit. It's hard to argue with me when I show you a fucking brand where I'm doing 30, 40K a month with no posting, no nothing. I can tell you, like, look, I'm running. And that was, like, one of my biggest things is a lot of guys were like, dude, you don't post a lot on your brand. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm on Facebook Marketplace all fucking day. And they're like, why? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm running ads. It's just doing it for me. I don't have to really post organically because, and it got to the point where, like, all my homies are like, dog, I'm on Instagram and every fucking other story's an OGD ad. I'm like, yep, shit's working.
And you're not. And they're not coming from the Instagram because if somebody clicked it, it's like, oh, it's still a polished Instagram. We got your post or whatever.
Comes straight to the fucking, and what's crazy is you click that link and it's not like it takes you to my page. It took you straight to the product page, right? And like 90% of the drop off is like people finding your brand, clicking the Instagram, looking at your shit, but it might take too long for them to get to the product, right? Most of the time, this is not an essential. It's more of an emotional buy. It's not like I need this fucking shirt to keep the lights on. It's like, this is a sick shirt. When you're dealing with emotional factors like that, got to be as quick as possible. You know what I mean? So like all the cool animations on websites and all that shit, it's bullshit, bro. It slows your fucking retention down. Nobody's going to stay that long. The simplest form is, and this is at the point where and I'm talking about when I was scaling OG to the highest, I was literally from the image, whatever image it was, going straight to the product, but not even to the product, like directly to add to cart, and it was done. They would purchase with that shit right then and there. Now, when I first started, I was doing the home page with the fucking music and the damn 3Ds and all that shit. And it was cool. Don't get me wrong. It built brand.
Yeah.
But then I started realizing, like, all right, cool. I already have the brand. I already have the organic flow. I just need to ramp up my fucking paid ads. And so usually, right, I'll reach out to a brand or whatever, and I'll tell them, hey, like, I see that you have some dope shit already. I see that you have organic content. What are you doing right now? Now, when I first started, I didn't have a minimum, right? If brands were making $5K a month, $10K a month, whatever, I'd work with anybody. That's when I first started. Now, usually, it'll be a little bit different simply because, right, I charge brands right now $2,500 minimum to work with them. This is going to be ad creatives, so I'm actually doing the images for the ads in itself. I'm setting up all of the ads.
So are brands sending you the products and you're taking it like that, basically?
They just send me their whatever the drop folder is of like the products that they have.
Oh, like they're, yeah.
And then, before the whole AI shit, I was doing it manually on Canva, making graphic designs, 2-for-1 specials, throwing the deals, whatever it may be, the CTAs. Now with AI does most of the shit for me, but I do all of the creatives, which is what we're going to be running on the ad. I actually set up the account. Number 2 is I give you the actual strategy on how we run the ads, because you can't just, you can just throw up a product and run ads. Doesn't mean it's going to convert.
Yeah.
Usually offer. So front end offer is always going to sell more, right? So imagine that hat, right? It's $35 hat. It's a fucking sick hat, but it only costs you $7 to make. Now, to sell me one $35 hat, we might go back and forth a little bit, right? $35. Oh, fuck, I don't know if I have that. But if it's 2 hats for $40 and I get free shipping, in reality, yeah, you made a little bit less margin because you gave a better deal, but you just sold me a $14 manufacturing fee for $40.
2 units instead of 1, 2.
Yeah. Now, if you're doing like that every once in a while, it's like, oh, okay, it's a little bit. But now imagine that at scale. Instead of 2 hats, now it's 4 hats, and you're doing 400 orders a fucking day.
Yeah, what it sounds like to me is like a brand's organic content's like the brand, and you're building your homies and the in the community, and then the social ads is really the aspect of getting that shit out there to people that don't know.
Yeah, because think about it on Instagram, right? Chances of me seeing your brand, high. That's because I follow you. If I don't follow you and I don't watch this podcast, or I don't know of any,
even then, you know,
yeah,
even nowadays,
it is so many people posting. It's hard. Sometimes you just get flooded in the algorithm. Know.
Yeah,
exactly, and that's one of the things. It's like with paid ads, I can direct the traffic to my shit. Yeah, you pay, obviously. Like, this is the whole world you have to pay. But, bro, on a regular post, right? Let's say I get 300, 400,000 impressions on a regular post off my personal page. I have both my Instagram accounts. I have 30-some thousand followers, plus my TikTok has 390,000 followers. The average person doesn't have that many followers. So for you to even get 100,000 impressions is, relatively speaking, pretty fucking hard. When you go and pay, you probably get 1,000 impressions with $200, $300. I mean, 100,000 impressions. You know what I mean? So yeah,
it's guaranteed and it's quick.
It's there, and these people are targeted.
And if you're confident about the product, maybe it's like, hey, I just need eyes on this shit.
Well, most of the brands that I work with, bro, it'll be a soft launch on a product, and they'll just test with paid ads. They don't even want to go organic. They're like, let's put this in front of a bunch of fucking people, different demographics, age, location, range, whatever it may be, and see who bites.
Yeah.
And if this is starting to get some flow, I get some fucking people that like this. Now I know it's worth it to transition this to like an actual product where I'm going to launch it.
And this would be something like, have you done something with like a barbershop or a podcast?
So yeah,
like what would like?
Yeah. So what we've been talking about this whole time was called e-com ads. That's direct conversion, which is like DTC, direct to consumer. What you just brought up is called lead gen. And that's actually what I do right now, bro. That's what I've really been killing it in this space, is simply because, not to be a dick to anybody that has an e-com brand, but e-com is like this. It doesn't matter, right? It's just goes up, goes down. That's just how it goes. You can have Black Friday where you do 150,000. January you do $4,000 in sales. That's just how it goes. Economy, stuff. And it's also hard to produce high quality always, right? There's gonna be a fucking couple of pieces that you drop that are probably ass. You know what I mean? It's just how it happened.
Bad timing. People don't like it.
Exactly, whatever it may be. But if you're at home and your toilet takes a shit, you can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna wait. I gotta take a shit, bro. I'm gonna call a plumber. So I'm like, well, the margins on these businesses that are lead generation, way higher, right? So a good example is like, I'm paying you, right? You're paying me. You're a barber, and I'm bringing you leads. Let's say you charge $50 a cut, and I charge you $1,000, right? That's even that's half of what I fucking charge. How many haircuts do I need to bring you just to be able to afford marketing?
Right.
That's not including booth rent or whatever the fuck else you spend. Now, typical plumbing job, $1,000 to $5,000. So imagine you pay me $2,500. I just got to get you one of those jobs where you're in the positive. You know what I mean? Now let's go to roofers. $15,000, $20,000 a job. Pay me $5,000 a month and I bring them one job. They're in the fucking clear. Why would they fire me? Even if I brought them one extra job a month, they just pocketed $15,000, $10,000 in their pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it got to the point where a lot of my boys owned plumbing businesses, HVAC, roofing, whatever it may be. And I'm like, let me just see if it works for you. And it does. And the thing is with e-com, even with good ads, right? There's a possibility that there's an issue with the product. Now, more than likely, that's the actual issue, is the product's just not that good. And at some point, the ads are just going to stop producing because the people that liked it bought it. The people that don't like it still don't like it. Versus plumbing's plumbing, roofing's roofing, landscaping, it's all services that are. And the other thing is, it's California rarely rains. So that's usually the only thing that'll stop businesses. And even then, people are still doing roofs in the rain and shit like that. So I switched over to lead gen because we started making real money. Like I was doing, if a clothing brand, Black Friday, $500,000. We've done that before where I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? And then I want to go work with a roofer out in Texas that was doing $500,000 on a shit month. You know what I mean? And they're like, dude, like, this is a slow month for us. And I'm like, $500,000 is a slow month for you?
You know what I mean? Industry.
And that's when I started realizing, like, okay, cool. Like, there's levels. You know what I mean? E-com, don't get me wrong. And, like, I always think e-com is cool because you can express yourself. It's customizable. It's your own thing. Versus, like, a roof is a roof. plumbing is plumbing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can always spice it up and do your own little job or whatever it may be, but at the end of the day, you're laying pipe or you're putting fucking wood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I dabbled into lead gen because a lot of businesses would hit me up through my organic content, which I still post every day. And people hit me up like, yo, I have this business. Can you help me scale? I'm like, I can help anybody scale. So, to be completely honest with you, bro, right now with the mentorship that I have and the agency and stuff like that, I've leaned heavily into AI and lead generation because that's what most people are looking for right now. And so that kind of spitballs into me starting the mentorship. I had a couple of clients that were, I guess you could say, were like me back in the day, right? They were paying me. And they're like, hey, well, how does this work? And usually I could have been a dick and be like, oh, I don't explain that. But bro, I'm very cool, very cordial with everybody. There's more than enough money out there. So I'll tell people like, hey, like this is what I look out for to make sure it's a good ad. Got to the point where, they're asking me a couple questions a day. I'm answering these couple questions. And sooner or later, they're like, all right, cool. Well, I see how you set up the ad. Because at the end of the day, how it works is like, let's say it's on your Facebook account, right? You just give me access as a marketer. So you still have access to everything I do. I'm doing it off your account. So if you go in there and check the ad anytime you want, you can see
all the back end
you can see the demographic. You can see what I put, what's the ad copy, what's the image, whatever it may be. And that'll help you run your own ad. Obviously the intricate little tweaks and stuff is kind of what people pay me for, is because that's what takes
the knowledge,
and experience to learn. But I'm not a dick, bro. If I'm helping you out, I'm helping you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got to the point where, a couple of my guys were like, well, what if I just pay you to teach me this shit, bro? And I'm like, cool. I charge you $2,500. I do it for the month. Shoot me $2,500 and I'll teach you. Then it got to the point where I got like 4 or 5 of my clients off of retainer, which does suck because obviously in a marketing agency you work off monthly retainers.
You want to keep your clients, but then it's like almost like success when it's like, damn, they kind of.
Well,
that says something about you as a teacher, or as a mentor, right? If they are leaving, it's like, damn.
At least I did my shit.
Yeah, you did a good job, and they kind of found their lane.
And that was my thing, is I started realizing like, damn, I kind of enjoy this shit more. You know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, doing the ads is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I've been doing it for 5 years.
You're kind of like the people relationship, helping somebody
networking.
out.
I love talking and stuff like that. And like it gets to the point where it's like numbers on a screen. You know what I mean? Hey, this is what this means. This is what this means. This is what this means. Your ad's doing good. Cool. End of conversation. But I'm just as nosy as anybody else. So I'm like, cool. I'm answering your questions about the ads. How'd you get business funding to start this business? Oh shit, credit. Okay, cool. Oh, how'd you get the credit right? Oh, okay, cool. Where'd you go get the loan from? All right. Where'd you find your business? How'd you find the crew? It got to the point where, they were, getting information off me to run their ads, but I'm starting to get business information now. Now I'm starting to become the mentee. You know what I mean? And it was like a good exchange where it's like, all right, cool. Now I know I can save up some bread, get this business. I can get funding from the bank over here to start this. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, it's a good exchange. Then it got to the point where I had like 4 or 5 of my clients leave in 1 month because they learned. And they were like, well, fuck, I'm going to bring you some other people. I'm like, all right, cool. And it got to the point where some of the businesses that I initially helped were hiring marketers to come learn through me and then to go back to them. And I'm like, at the end of the day, like, fuck it. I was getting, I double dipped. I charged you and I charged them. But it got to the point where, that started, word of mouth started getting around, where it went from like 4 or 5 clients to like 10 clients. And then finally I had like 12 clients where I was like, all right, cool. I'm getting on calls with these dudes every day, teaching them how to run the ads. They're making their own money. But it got to the point where I was like kind of slacking with the business.
Your stuff.
Yeah, because I'm like, fuck, I'm just so busy on this teaching shit. Granted, the cash is really good, right? In the influencing space, info product space, money's always really good. So I kind of went like head over heels, started teaching a bunch of people, and I realized like, well, fuck, if I'm gonna do something, and that's how I've always been, is like jack of all trades, master of none. You know what I mean? I'm like doing a little bit of everything, but I'm not a fucking killer in one space. And like my mentors always told me, like, bro, that's your issue. No, he tells me like, that's your issue, bro. He's like, you want to become very successful, you got to just be one thing. And I can't, bro, with my ADHD and just how I was raised, it's hard, bro. I can't, and I'm like, and it's one of my issues I'm trying to learn, but like I'm a fucking control freak, bro. Like I need to at least know.
As far as scaling and letting shit go, right?
I need to see shit. Even if I'm not directly hands-on working, I need to understand what's going on, because if there's a fuck up somewhere inside of this, I need to be able to pinpoint the fuck up, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh, well, it's just not going on. No, bro, I'm spending fucking money. I got my daughter at home to feed. I got bills to pay. I've got overhead. Like I gotta make sure the business is slowly like growing. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. Like I'm gonna do this mentor shit. So I pretty much fired like half the clients that I was working with. Not fired them, but I told them, I said, hey guys, like, gonna dispatch you guys down to my crew. I'm no longer gonna be the one managing the accounts anymore, because I'm gonna do this. And right then and there, it was like my first month. I think January 11th I opened it. More than like 90% of the people that we fired joined the mentorship.
Shit.
And I'm like, fuck, dude. And I'm going, it's a one-time payment, but I am capturing all the cash up front. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm teaching these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just spiraled into teaching more and more students. And then, bro, so two of the guys that I started with that had service-based businesses now do digital marketing, bro. So
and they
have their own business.
Ships. Yeah. They
they
jump ship to do what you do.
Yeah. And because the thing is at the end of the day, right, I'm doing the ads for these guys, and they're working in the field, hot sun, busting their ass, going home at 7. And I'm in fucking my Orange County fucking apartment, chilling on my computer. Working remote. So it's like, it gets to the point where it's like, well, shit, if I can learn the marketing and make sure the crew just has work, I could get somebody to be on the yard just to make sure, you know what I mean? And I could be at home all day. I could still make bread. And then if I own a plumbing company and I know how to run ads for this plumbing company, I could turn around and tell the other plumbers, hey, I'll teach you how to do it too. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there's a lot more money in that. And so once the kids in my mentorship started seeing success, like real success, like JJ, he's a fucking killer in the space. He started with me probably like, he was probably like the second or third person to join my mentorship. And he's doing like $36,000 a month right now. And he came from he was doing just whatever he was doing. Yeah. And now he's like, yo, I do this digital marketing shit. Bro, he's getting to the point now where he's hiring videographers, photographers, and he's outsourcing all of this work. And he's pretty much just breaking people off. All right, cool. I got this deal over here today.
He's just overseeing everything.
And that's it, bro. And he's 20. He's younger than me. He's probably like 20. Probably like 26. Yeah, 26, bro. He's a little bit younger than me, and he's killing it in the space. And he like came from crypto and shit. So he had bread, but he didn't know how to like disperse
So maybe
it.
just like that hunger, right? Or somebody kind of wanting to, because
it is a newer thing though. I'll be honest with you, and that's one thing I have noticed. Like AI, I don't know how far you're into AI, bro, but AI is pretty fucking nuts, dude. And it's not like just like ChatGPT. So I use Claude. Yeah. And Claude operates my computer. So, like, I make a checklist in the morning. Yo, send out this email to this person, check in with this, set this appointment up, and it does everything for me. I go get my coffee, I sit back on my computer, my day's done pretty much.
I've heard that shit.
So, bro, whenever you're fucking bored or free, go on my Instagram on the Biz by Nick. Bro, I just teach use cases of AI you could use a lot for this podcast.
I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I might even just hit you like, yo, I might pull up on you, bro. Yeah. Take you to lunch and shit. Yeah. Just chop it up.
There's a lot of shit to do.
Yeah, we could, but bro, before I get ahead of myself. Yeah. Your storytelling, bro, the way you took us through your whole journey, trials and tribulations, learning, like that's what it's about, bro. Yeah. And like, I want to thank you because this is Kickin Game, and that's exactly what the whole point is, bro. Because we're gonna fuck up and you're gonna make some mistakes, but it's how you learn, really. Exactly. And life isn't done. And like to end off, on your business and what you do, it's just like the cherry on top of the convo. Yeah. So if anyone's out there. Because so are you posting? Well, let people know where they could find you at, bro. Before I close
so I post on both pages, right? So my personal is Nick OGD, but my business page is Biz by Nick, BizByNick. My TikTok is Nick.OGD. Most of my socials are Nick OGD. I post kind of cross-platform. I post on everything. Mm-hmm. Just because as I started getting a little bit older, I realized that you don't really know where people are coming from. So some of the dudes that follow my personal page like business. They just didn't even know I fucking did business. You know what I mean? They thought I was doing cars and bikes and shit. Yeah. So now they're like, the fuck, you know business too? Like a lot of the newer guys, especially this year when I started getting in front of the camera again and kind of posting, a lot of the guys that I work with were followers. You know what I mean? That became either mentees or started working. Like I'm actually doing a business with one of my followers. Came up to me and he was like, yo, let's start this. I think your AI shit could do, really good. I'll fund it. I have this going. And I'm like, cool, bro. So like we've been working together hand in hand for like the last 5.5 months to just see if we can launch something with service-based and AI together. And he always laughs about it. He's like, bro, like, he's older than me. He's like, I'm not on Instagram. I don't watch TikTok and this shit. He's like, I was just at home taking a shit one time and you posted a video on your page where you're talking about, lead generation. He's like,
you're like, what?
Yeah. He's like, what the fuck do you know about lead generation? You do cars. And I was like, oh, I actually own a business, bro, in marketing. And then that kind of went down the spiral of, learning. So Nick OGD is my main. Biz My Nick is my business, but I mostly post on my main and shit. So yeah. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything like that, you guys can hit me up on there. I'm pretty active. Usually every day I'm kind of posting and stuff like that. So it'd be sick. And I was gonna ask you too, if you're gonna clip this up, I'd love to do like some posts or some shit.
Oh yeah, bro. I'm gonna clip this and send the collabs and all that. Especially
are you doing this by hand?
Not fully, but kind of as far as. Because I know AI could do it, but the control freak that I am, I want to make sure every funny shit that you said. Yeah. I don't know unless AI could. And you might. It's all about the prompt.
Telling you,
it's
bro.
all I hear. It's all about the prompt and like
Yeah.
you know.
When it first started, like Opus was very cut and clear, like it would just clip stuff up. But now, bro, you could like explain the demographic of the conversation, what you're looking
Make
for.
sure you capture these these details when he explains. Blah
Anytime
blah blah.
his face smiles, clip that. Like, bro, it's yeah, you might have to go through a lot more shit, but
double take. But
I mean,
if you
bro,
get that process set up,
yeah, then
now
you're
my whole
automated. You're good.
But yeah, bro, we'll clip it up and stuff because again, like this lead generation's new, and it also feels like as we age, again, you talked about your followers kind of being mentees now and like late 20s, early 30s.
Exactly.
That's kind of a lot of our peers. Clothing, whether it's a clothing brand or they're doing plumbing or whether they're
we're starting to get to that age where now like we're getting into our adult life mode, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So shoot, thank you for watching. If you're still tapped in, Nick, appreciate you pulling up, bro. Appreciate your time, full of jams. So I appreciate that.
This was sick, bro.
This is Kickin Game. Until next time, peace.
Yep. Yeah, bro. I like